When I had the revelation, I wasn't doing anything profound. I was at the movies. I was eating popcorn, completely on par with my routine. I wasn't even running water. I wasn't doing anything profound. I was definitely at the movie, eating popcorn, without butter, without any profundity at all. There can be that moment in which the structure holds. It becomes so stable that there is an illusion of permanence. The structure holds. And there is a sestina. There is a sonnet. There is a mountain of tetrahedron. The structure holds. Poetry is a dynamic system. The structure holds. Poetry is a dynamic system.
Page moves.
The structure holds.
Page is cellular.
The structure holds.
Molecules. Atomic page.
The structure holds.
It's a mobile home. Page. Poetry is a dynamic system.
The structure holds.
The Limited Fork poem understands that the page is wherever the dynamic system is observed, wherever that is, just moving and moving, sometimes so slowly, it is imperceptible to the limited human eyes. And that is why you need the fork at all. You need some kind of device that can take you past the limitation of your own senses. Your ears can't hear everything. Your eyes can't see everything. So you need a fork that magnifies. You need a telescopic fork. You need a fork that can help you acknowledge those places outside of your own scale. That is what you need.
The structure holds.
It would be okay to refer to me as the mother of Limited Fork Poetics. I gave birth to Limited Fork Poetics in a movie theater. Which movie is the father? Which movie is the father? Ideally, I was watching him. I was watching Around the Bend. Which movie is the father? Ideally, I I was watching Riding the Bullet. I was watching The Dust Factory. Which movie did this? Better yet, I was watching Sideways, I was watching Vera Drake, and I was watching Birth.
It is somewhat an embarrassment that it took me so long to make what turned out to be such a simple connection.
Which movie did this? The credits were rolling. The words are moving.
Poetry is a dynamic system.
Do you see how the alphabet rises?
Poetry is a dynamic system.
Do you see how the alphabet rises?
The structure holds.
Rises. Rises.
I use a limited fork every day. Every day. I use a limited fork every day. Every day. I use a limited fork every day. Every day. Every day.
The structure holds.
Every day.
Interactions can stabilize a system, or interactions can cause a system to move into another form. The structures that form and reform may do so in any location on the page. Simultaneously, some of the structures are imperceptible. They try to form and don't succeed in take. There would be no reflection. There would be no shadows. There would be no reflection without the activity that happens at the boundary. The structure holds. The structure holds.
Go.
The structure holds.
Go.
The poem. The dynamic system of the poem is always captured in progress. There is no beginning. That's one of the challenges. And that's also what is so incredibly interesting about writing with the knowledge that poetry is a dynamic system. There's also no ending because the system is ongoing. It is captured for a limited interval. That's all. And when we talk about displaying the captured portion of the system somewhere, it is understood that there are multiple areas of possible display of the system and the subsystems it contains. This means that there could be an area of more intense stability. This is where the poem may be its most accessible, where there is a kind of clarity that makes a poem relatively simple to understand. But this stabilizing system is stable as a result of interactions that have supported stability. And there continues to be, in the flux surrounding the area of intensifying stability, more variables, more opportunities for interaction. This activity does not cease. There can be, in neighboring areas, other attempts at stability. Through interaction, something can begin to form, perhaps only for a few seconds. There can be varying degrees of stability that are revealed. Varying degrees of stability that those of us trying to capture this dynamic system can notice. So the actual landscape of the page may include multiple areas of varying degrees of stability that range from complete and ordered coherence, such as a sonnet, to areas of such instability that we cannot actually read the language, the alphabet that emerges. This is incredibly exciting. And of course, over time, these areas that are attempting to organize can interact further with those areas that have stabilized, causing that area of intense stability to begin to destabilize, begin to decay. And an area previously unstable can begin to take on stability. This is ongoing. It all depends on what is occurring at the moment that some part of the system is observed. And of course, one can go deeper into any components of the stable area to discover what might be at work, reorganizing.
The structure whole.
Poetry is a dynamic system. A limited fork understands that perfectly. You must never lose your fork. It is your most valuable possession. Though you cannot really possess it because it is dynamic, it is always changing. It is never the same. When you capture it, it is not a limited fork you have captured, but a record. You have captured the history of your efforts to capture the fork. You must never lose your fork.
The structure whole.
These forks are an extension of my hand. When I use the fork, I now have an additional rigid appendage, and these have become the hand itself, showing how the lines of the palm extend away and point into every possible direction. The limited fork. Poetry as a dynamic system. It is always in flux. It is not
going to stay the same. It is not a system that can be controlled entirely. We set it in motion. We create a scenario in which the system itself continues and exists and changes and modifies and becomes beyond anything that we in our limitations can vision. Don't you see? The fork has tines. I use it to grasp my understanding of the universe, and it cannot grasp everything. Something will slip through the tines. Something will slip through the tines, and I will be left with only residue of what stays on the fork when I try to use it as my tool of capture, of measure. There is only the surface, only the surface, when I use the fork to enter another realm.
Go.
The structure holds, the structure holds.
It's only a model. This fork, this rigid form, is only a model. And that's why its rigidity is so exceptional. This too can change, of course, this model, depending on the kind of interaction. You see, it is the interaction that is everything. And interactions occur at boundaries where I touch the fork. But it's a model. The actual limited fork is more like a tree. The tree of the mind, the tree of the brain with all the pathways of the nerves. And then through the body that is more linear, but like the tree, it is rooted and the roots branch out again. It's only a model. But the actual system goes on dynamically, and we poets try to capture
The structure holds.
a record of what has happened in that system that goes on. The poems we write are never about the system in its present state, but always the way that it was. And then the poem itself is not about the system of its subject, but becomes a new system itself. You see, we must try to have those poems that try to capture the authenticity of the behavior of the system of the idea. That means new pages, new understanding of metaphor, of stanza. It means sometimes acknowledging this flux by creating more virtual poems or poems that do not insist upon any kind of permanency. And yet, stability is one of the structures that forms. In the dynamic system, structure forms and reforms. And sometimes structure stabilizes to such a point that we have something that comes closer and closer to the model. This highly stabilized system of the poetics. But if something happens, if there are those interactions, those introductions of variables with the ability to affect that change, the system can destabilize. And in that destabilization, something else can occur that allows structure to reform. So beautiful.
The nervous system, the circulatory system are like some kind of trees, right? I mean, you can see that right on the scan. But they're upside down. The brain is the root of these trees. They're growing out of the brain, but down from the brain, not up. Unless I stand on my head or something. Anyway, on the scan, I saw something else. The nervous system tree, when it was all stopped on the scan, when it wasn't really, obviously, an active system anymore. Well, when it was all stopped and making a picture of what my head was like at the time of the scan. Anyway, on the scan, the branching system sure looked like those high power lines I drove by on my way to the hospital. And all the time, I stayed inside one small branch of the Milky Way, one tiny arm of a galactic octopus. But like a museum one, because the activity couldn't really be seen. It was just a model. Yeah, that's a good model of what's inside me, because I've also got a little power failure going on. Some of my nerves fork around damaged areas, and the signals interact in crazy ways. Yeah, real crazy. There's no chaos or anything like that, because my legs and hands get a message, and they obey the message they get. It's just not the message the brain is transmitting. So my hands felt like they were wrapped in burlap a foot thick. I couldn't grasp anything. There was so much distance between me and anything other than the burlap. I had some kind of cocoon hands for much too long. But after just about a year, hands came out of that wrapping that was as real to me. I could see my skin all along. Not quite so I could see rough, but burlap. And my feet once again could bear weight. I could feel them also, until tracing the soles of my feet with the tines of a fork made my toes curl. There's not actually a line around so many things that exist. The line isn't the definition, but scaffolding human perception provides for human convenience. Platonic and Archimedean solids are models of extreme regularity. The extreme regularity that can help lead to a heart attack when the heart overcomes a healthy variance, a healthy departure, such is the nature of an ideal regularity. Up close, at scales that hide less and less the irregular composition of smooth becomes apparent. There's no line defining my arm, defining that tree trunk, that rose petal, that convulsing cloud mass. Instead, there's continuity, the container and contained, beside and inside each other. The overall container called the moment in which all existing in some form is existing has no line. Its boundary and container is the moment, the dynamic moment, the perfect moment in which all the systems operate, some organizing, some decaying, activity folding and unfolding into itself, out of itself, into other activity, out of other activity, a single sheet, a page that is such impressive origami, folds into complexity, folds into everything a single page can